Once upon a time, in a small, peaceful village nestled between lush green fields and gentle hills, there lived a humble gardener named Samuel. Samuel was a kind-hearted man in his early 40s, known throughout the village for his warm smile, hard-working nature, and incredible love for plants and flowers. His small garden was not like the grand gardens of rich estates, but it was special in its own way. A colorful paradise full of flowers, vegetables, and fruit trees that bloomed with care and devotion. The village children loved to visit his garden, for it seemed magical. Butterflies danced around the bright flowers, and the air always smelled sweet with the scent of roses and fresh earth. Samuel wasn't rich. In fact, he barely earned enough to sustain his simple life. But he was rich in spirit. Every morning, he woke up at dawn, tending to his plants, watering them carefully, and talking to them as if they were his closest friends. To Samuel, gardening was not just a job, it was a way to share love and happiness. His gentle hands, though weathered and rough from years of toil, carefully nurtured every seed, every sprout, and every blooming flower. People in the village often wondered why Samuel was so generous with his harvest. Every week, without expecting anything in return, he would offer baskets of vegetables, bouquets of flowers, and fresh fruits to his neighbors. "What do you gain from giving so much without expecting payment?" a curious villager once asked. Samuel smiled and replied softly, "True joy comes from giving, not receiving." This simple philosophy guided his life. Many people thought Samuel was unusual, even foolish. In a world driven by competition and personal gain, Samuel's generosity seemed out of place. But Samuel never paid attention to what others thought. His actions were driven by a deep belief that kindness creates a cycle of goodwill and that happiness multiplies when shared. One day, a terrible drought hit the village. The sun burned fiercely, and the streams began to dry up. Crops withered, and many villagers struggled to find food. The air became heavy with despair. Farmers watched helplessly as their fields turned brown, and the market became almost empty. Samuel's small garden was no exception. Even he struggled to keep his plants alive. But something remarkable happened. Despite his own difficulties, Samuel continued to give. He shared whatever little vegetables he could save, and whenever a neighbor came to him in need, he smiled and handed them some produce, no questions asked. His unwavering generosity did not go unnoticed. Slowly, a sense of hope began to return to the village. People started helping one another, inspired by Samuel's actions. A young woman named Anna, who had just moved to the village and didn't know many people, felt touched by Samuel's kindness. She approached him one afternoon and asked, "Why do you help us so much, even when you yourself are suffering?" Samuel looked at her kindly and replied, "Because kindness is like planting seeds. You never know which seed will bloom and when, but every small act matters. Giving without expecting anything in return makes the world a little brighter." Anna was deeply inspired. She decided to help Samuel in his garden. Together, they worked hard, carrying water from distant wells, removing dead leaves, and planting new seeds. Slowly but surely, the garden began to revive. Flowers bloomed again, and vegetables grew fresh and strong. The villagers started coming together, helping one another, and supporting Samuel and Anna's efforts. The garden became a symbol of unity, hope, and generosity, a small oasis of kindness in the midst of hardship. Months passed, and the drought eventually ended. The rains returned, and the village slowly recovered. Samuel's garden stood as a testament to the power of giving. People no longer saw him as unusual. They saw him as a teacher. His philosophy spread beyond words. It was lived and felt by everyone. Children learned to plant seeds of kindness, just as they planted seeds of vegetables. The community began to thrive not just because of the rain, but because of the spirit of giving that Samuel had nurtured. Samuel's story teaches us a profound lesson. Giving without expecting anything in return is a powerful act of love and courage. It's not about gaining recognition or rewards, it's about making a difference. In learning English, the same principle applies. Every time you speak, every time you try, you are giving your effort to improve. Even if you make mistakes, you are planting seeds that will grow into confidence. Speaking English is not about being perfect, it's about trying, learning, and sharing your voice. Here is a useful phrase you can practice. I want to help others by learning and sharing English. Repeat after me. I want to help others by learning and sharing English. Each small effort you make today contributes to a brighter future. Just like Samuel's small acts of generosity blossomed into hope, your small steps in learning English will lead to fluency and confidence. If you enjoyed this story and learned something valuable, please like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Shadow English for more inspiring stories and practical English learning tips. Stay kind, stay courageous, and keep learning every day. Thank you for watching. See you in the next story with new lessons, new hope, and new ways to express yourself in English.